Good morning, all. Welcome to Let's Build This. I'm Coach Rick Mabe. Want to welcome Seth, Kimberly, Sheehan, and Lynn. I'm glad you could join me today. Last week, we talked a bit about the business plan and about what it is that the Hope Institute hopes to accomplish with all projects coming together to just share and talk about what we might do together to build an institute. I want to ask, has anyone had an opportunity to take a look at that business plan or started to take a look at the business plan and give me some feedback on it? Okay.
Go ahead, Lynn. It's okay.
It's okay. Yeah, it is okay if you.
I looked at it real quickly, and I was thinking it was kind of overwhelming.
Right.
I'm just looking at my notes. I wrote vertical, enormous, and
You said vertical?
yeah, horizontal, infinite. It seems so big, and I was curious, like if I was a State Farm or somebody who, and I think it's going to require those heavy hitters from a funding perspective and also a team perspective. I almost was wondering, could I digest it easier if it was like a proof of concept, if it maybe started a little smaller and proved that out and then built on that? That's kind of where my mind was. And I didn't know if there was, I know you've got the financials at the end, and I was wondering if there was like further detail under, was that a roll up? Is there more detail? Do you have like a more detailed cash flow? I was curious about that. Yeah.
I do not have a detailed cash flow. Remember that this is an infant effort. We have not begun to bring in good cash flow or be able to do any kind of historical reference at this point. So this is a brand new grassroots effort to build this thing. We've only been in business since last October with trying to get something going. The vision is in my head. It came from my head with help from other people like Sheehan and people like that who have helped me build the vision. And the business plan, of course, came out of my head as well. And so I appreciate the feedback because I can't do this by myself. And if it's overwhelming to folks like Lynn and others, and it needs to be, like you said, proof of concept, then that's what we need to do if there's people that agree with that. So my idea is that we just need to do what we got to do to get it out there. We've got to do what we got to do to make this thing more digestible, to, like you said, if a heavy hitter came on board and wanted to see proof of concept, we don't have a proof of concept. We don't have, we don't have proof that this works other than testimonials from people like Seth and others that we've been coaching over the years that says, yes, this works. And yes, we know that, based on things like Job Corps and other programs that bring people off the street to get them better suited to go back out on the road, back out into civilization, do we know that these kinds of programs work, right? And so, yeah, we don't have the proof yet. So what we need is we need to build a place to do the proof. Yeah. What else you got?
That was it in a nutshell.
Yeah, I understand.
A
Yeah.
lot.
And it makes sense.
Like I said last week, I think the messaging is going to be really important because people might look at this community concept and think it's, and I think maybe someone even mentioned like that we're not a cult, but people, so I think the messaging is going to be really important, and the packaging. Does that marketing?
Yeah. And so I'm so glad you're here, Lynn, because you and Sheehan are really the only two people who have really taken the time and effort to come back and say, not be afraid to come out and say what needs to be said, right? Because I'm a visionary, right? I'm not someone who, though I have brought people together before, like some other people will tell you that I'm a great facilitator and stuff like that, but bringing other people's ideas together, like I did the energy company out in Oklahoma and stuff like that with other people and got them together. But but when I'm trying to bring my own thing together, like I've said, I need a core group of people to share what they know and share ideas with me and others to do exactly what we're saying right here. So, yes, the packaging is important. I always repeatedly say this is not a cult. We're not trying to start a cult here. We are trying to start a community. And see, and the thing that scares me about this is that people would suddenly feel that this is a cult, when really what it is, it's getting back to the simple fundamentals of the human tribe, right? And so it scares me when people think that. And I'm not trying to be argumentative here. I'm just saying, wow. To be honest, I'm looking at pure love and essence in a community of like-minded people. That you're right, and this is why I say this, because when I wrote my book, it comes across as though you're trying, David, this Koresh thing, right? Again, all over again, when really it's just a matter of trying to get people to go to a place where they say, I need help, I'm lost. What do I do to get myself back up to where I can feel whole again, so I can go back out in the community and and contribute value and be self-realizing.
And we know that, and I think the people who are willing to ask for help know that. But there's this greater, and I hate to say this, I really hate to say this, the general who have drank the Kool-Aid, who might give pushback because it's going against another agenda.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh,
Absolutely.
That's what that's where my head's at. Like, this is such a great idea. It's going to get even more pushback because it is such a need for it, and because it does come from a place of love. And when people come from a place of look how Marianne Williamson got so berated. She is a wildly intelligent human being. She is wildly intelligent.
I love
because
her.
she comes from a place of love, people want to slam her and bash her and talk about crystals and orbs. But I could see her being all over this. I even said to Cheyenne, but you know what I mean? People,
Well, maybe we should talk to her. I would have voted for her for president.
yeah, she made the most sense to me. I mean, she knows her history. She understands. She's run for political. She ran for Congress in California. She came in fourth. Well, we don't have to talk about her all day, but yeah, I mean, someone like her, and I don't know, Chris isn't here, but he mentioned State Farm, but those kinds of names are going to be really important. And like maybe a more in-depth feasibility. I used to do feasibility, financial and market feasibilities at Ernst & Young, and they would be like 300 pages.
I wish I had. See, and I don't know how to say this, but I'm just going to say it. I wish I had. I'm not going to say that way. I'm going to have the funds I need to pay someone like you to do a feasibility study or a feasibility analysis and a marketing campaign. This is because that's what I need. See, I can write all I want. I can publish books all I want. I can do these vast things in my head all I want. But I lack the ability to put together these things you're talking about, Lynn. I do. I can't. It's like I keep telling these people at FEMA, I can't do it all by myself. I just can't do it. I know I can't do it. And so if I can't get the help I need, what do? I don't want. I'm not going to shelf it. I'm not going to shelve it anymore. I can't shelve it. It's done. I'm done shelving things. I'm done putting things on the back burner. I'm 63 years old last week. No, I can't. again, I was up at 3 o'clock in the morning the other morning doing FEMA work because I'm so wound up in this now. So enough about me, but thank you, Lynn. I love you. I really do. I want to thank you so much for your feedback. And when you gave me your message the other day, I felt you. I knew what you were. I knew where you were coming from. With you've got a lot going on. This is really overwhelming. There's so much to it, and I don't know.
I'm so sorry to interrupt. I want to say, you guys know I had to jump off early last week. My friend drove to Roanoke from Virginia with her 3 puppies that she loved dearly, more than life itself. She took her 3 puppies, put them in plastic bags, drove to the top of a parking structure, threw the puppies off of the structure, and then jumped. She was terrified of COVID. She lost her job. She was in a financially desperate place. This is what is going to be happening.
Already.
What?
It is already happening.
Yeah.
What?
Glad you brought that up, Lynn.
Help.
Yes.
And in her
Yes.
situation, she didn't ask for the help. She didn't understand. Like, this is the tip of the iceberg. And
Lynn,
yeah, that's why I had to jump.
Yes.
Not I'm just stop to use that word.
No, don't
Sorry,
use that word.
Simone.
I mean, she committed suicide.
Yes, and she killed her puppies first before doing it.
Oh my God.
Yes. I'm glad she brought it up. I've just been sitting there listening. And Richard, I totally understand how you feel about your project, but people are hurting. People are hurting so bad. And the mental, oh my goodness. I mean, we're dealing with it over here, you know. My daughter's boyfriend is really putting a toll. Well, he's not her boyfriend anymore, but
Okay.
he's been in and out of the suicidal mind. But
All right.
people are terrified right now, especially people who have never dealt with, homelessness
Oh
or
my God.
the on the brink of homelessness, and then this pandemic and the terror for people that are, their minds are just not handling this pandemic.
All right. Well, well, that just
Someone
means
out
that
of New York a couple of months or so ago, I think they were on, I don't know which floor, but jumped out of a tall building, like 30, 40 story high,
oh my
because of
God.
COVID stuff. But,
Well,
we just can't give up. We just have to keep going, no matter what nobody say. Just keep going. People were all over my idea with negativity, but I had to keep going one step at a time to get answers and prices and count, how much this was going to cost, that was going to cost, and
Yep.
you just
Yep.
can't give up, Richard. Like I said, all I
I'm
can
not
do
giving
is
up.
be here for the help for, once I pull off my idea to help get funding. Other than that, I can just do what I can to get us connected to one more person that it can help us all get closer to our goals.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's what I was going to say. I mean, Marshall, one of her favorite places to sit is, we got to do what we can with what we do have and know that more will be given when we're ready for it. And, that's the philosophy we have to operate from. We don't have a choice. I mean, that Lynn's story just says how much we need to keep going and know that somewhere, somehow, we're going to find the right people. We're going to find the right resources. It's going to happen. And all we can do is keep trying to refine our messaging, refine our information. I know when Lynn gave me some feedback, and I'm sure she gave that to you as well, Rick, is, and I've said this over and over, we have to prototype whatever we can in whatever way we can. So, that's why Don and I, we've written books about, working with teens and working with middle schoolers and working with homeless people and working with people coming out of prison, because we're trying to show that we've prototyped the concepts, even though we haven't had the building to do it in.
Right.
And and I don't remember how much is in your business plan about you and the work you did with Job Corps, but man, you should be hitting that hard, because you were managing the whole dang state of Virginia with a lot of key concepts that are a integral part of the Hope Institute. So that's a big piece of what needs to be in there is, and you can use our examples, put our examples in there as part of the business plan in terms of the apprenticeship programs that we've done. And, again, really examples of what you did with the Job Corps kids, because those are the things that say, no, we do have experience doing this. We just don't have the stupid building.
Right, right.
I think, Shannon, when you and I talked, I gave examples about how, like in banking, we often see, and I'm not knocking anyone in the medical field, but like a lot of doctors will often get together and become real estate investors when they've never invested in real estate before. They don't know how to do the due diligence, and the thing ultimately falls apart, as does their relationships, and it's a disaster. But with my banker lens, we want to look at the people in charge. What do they know about this thing? And so that's going to be really that's a great point Cheyenne's making. It's going to be critical. Your story has to be in there, your experience, and Cheyenne's. That's going to be a big part of the overall plan. If to go to these, because the donors need to have a big name, I think, to get this up. It's going to like a State Farm or like a Habitat for Humanity, or I don't know. I'm just throwing that name out there. I don't know if that's viable or not, but.
Well, and it might be an individual big name, I told you when you mentioned Marianne Williamson to me that somebody else had mentioned her to me just a week and a half ago. And I'm like, good Lord, this is kind of weird, but she's definitely somebody. And I may actually even have a track to be able to reach her based on that other conversation. And then, I was interviewed by Leon Isaac Kennedy about this very same kind of concept, and he is interested in it. It's just, the more we can boil things down and be able to show something that sounds tangible and sounds, well laid out. Another piece that I think you could add, Rick, that I think Lynn was referring to, I know you've got in your mind ways to work on making the Institute self-sustaining. So what are those income streams? What do those look like? What's the potential for, building those income streams that help to make it self-sustaining? Because that's another key piece. You may get donations, you may get grants, you may get some things up front to help, but almost everybody's going to be asking, how do you get to a place where you don't have to ask for money anymore?
And then everybody want to copy
it. That's going to be a key piece to have in there, I believe.
Okay, all right.
Because that was, in fact, I was on a grant review board several years ago for federal grant money that was specifically for startup nonprofits. And one of the things that I was instructed I had to review the grant applications on was, what was the self-sustainability plan? So, that is a key.
Yeah, it's in there. It's just not, my business plan is what, maybe 50 pages. It's not a lot to it.
Right.
but self-sustainability. I'm doing this, instead of writing this in my notebook, I'm doing it actually on the chat thing today.
Okay, that's fine.
I think
Well,
that may be better, even better than writing it down, because that way it's digitally saved.
Well, and actually, I know who you need to chat with, and I wish I had thought to invite her here today, but she needs to come into this as well, because Melanie Paul has been my friend and associate in the Raleigh area for a number of years now, and she's the one that we went to the Raleigh City Council and pitched the concept of the residential entrepreneur incubator to them. She's an accountant and she has some of the pieces, I think, of what would be helpful to you. And she's kind of like me. She doesn't care where these concepts get done. She just wants to see them starting to happen. So I don't believe that she would have a problem sharing some of what she had written about with you. But she did start to outline, you know, as an accountant, she was saying, here's a stream of income we can develop. Here's a stream of income. And she even was able to come up with estimates on what kind of income should be able to be brought in and utilized. Now, her concept was a little different than yours, but it certainly can still work in there, still can be integrated, because you know, we were talking about using an abandoned hotel and setting up storefronts and things like that in there. But there was the whole idea of, you know, you could be teaching people how to do catering. You could be teaching people how to do, you know, those things that become part of the business entity. Remember how Trosa's set up? You know,
Yeah.
that was why I was showing you Trosa, was because they've got all those businesses under that 501c3 umbrella. That's what you need to start outlining in that plan.
Okay.
And I'll ask Melanie if she's willing to help, at least to share with you some of what she's done.
That would be great. That would be absolutely great. Yeah. And that's, you know, one of the things that I'm really in search of. And you look, if you see on my website, I've got actually jobs posted there for volunteers to start talking to me about really being serious about this thing. And I know that I need people who can help me pull this thing together and make it more like Lynn just got through saying, packaging, the message. You know, like if we're standing in front of State Farm, for example, or whoever, how are we packaging? How are we messaging it? Because inside the business plan, sure, I've got the vision, the mission, and all that good stuff in there, all the great information about what it is we're trying to do. But I need a professional, somebody or other, and I've reached out to some people trying to get some interest about how do I package it? How do we, you know, like, and this is one of the reasons I started trying to have this conversation with people on Saturday mornings too, is because I want people who to get interested enough in the vision and the mission to want to be involved to the point where they're saying, yeah, I'll be willing to stand up with you, Rick, in front of a group of people and say, I'm part of this team. So that's one of the things I'm looking for too. I know that everybody's busy and got things to do, but if there are other people that we can share this with who might say, yeah, I will be your fundraising VP or your whatever we want to call these folks. I know we got to put tags on people because that's what people understand. Not that I'm interested in tags per se, but we got to put them on there, right? I remember a friend of mine, Nellie Hayes, she ran the Girl Scouts, I think it was, or something like that. She was the
Yep.
executive CEO or whatever she was for the Girl Scouts forever. And who would think that would have a tag, right? But they have to have them. There's this thing where there's this thing in the world where you've got to have these tags. I keep calling myself director, and it's hard for me to, you know, I was a CEO at one point. You know, I was the CEO of MABE Incorporated when it was a home inspection and home improvement company, and we had an LLC, and I was the marketing director for the title company we ran. But this thing, this nonprofit thing, can't be owned by anybody. Can't own it. We can't own it. And so when you call yourself a CEO, that says ownership. No, you know. So anyway, I'm going off on tangent, but So that's why I need help. I really do need help.
I
And
say CEO as Chief Empowerment Officer.
There you go.
say it
Give
again.
it
CEO could be Chief Empowerment Officer.
Cha-ching. Absolutely. Yeah, I like it.
And
There
he's
Chief
you go.
Empowerment Officer.
Yep.
So yeah, changing that whole paradigm can be part of what we do with the organizational structure of this thing, of this entity we call the Hope Institute. Yeah, why not Chief Empowerment Officer?
There you go.
So I mean, yeah.
I would also offer up a couple of different terms that you might want to start incorporating. One is the term intentional community. That is one that is getting known more and more out here. And you definitely fit in that intentional community. And you can even go and look and read about that. There is a website out there that is ic.org. And that is a place where you can actually register intentional communities. And you might even want to consider putting the Hope Institute up as an intentional community with them. It is a membership. I think it's a free membership. They ask for donations to try to cover their costs, but I think they'll let anybody put a community up there. So that's one. And then the other is, and this is what I'm calling Triangle Solutions Alliance now, and I think this would also be appropriate for you, is I'm calling it a Community and Economic Development Corporation.
Yeah.
Community and Economic Development Corporation. So that is terminology that people can start to wrap their heads around, because people, there's most nonprofits out here who are doing the kind of work you're talking about are typically called a CDC, a Community Development Corporation, but you're incorporating the economic development as well. So, with all of the self-sustainability training and all of that kind of stuff. So Community and Economic Development Corporation, that is a term that I want to popularize. I think it needs to be out here in a big way.
Well, I know that you are rocking and rolling with what you're doing, because I've been watching you for years. You've been watching me for years, and I see that you are pretty much taking off. And I'm really I'm proud of you, and I'm happy that you're my friend and sister. So, okay, yeah, a lot of great stuff. The more people that I can get and on these calls on Saturday morning, if you guys have people you can bring on here for us to share with, please bring them on here. Let them know. You know me. I think you know me well enough now to know that I'm not egotistical with this thing, I guess is the right word. I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to start a cult. You know that, I think.
We know that.
And so, and I'm robust in the design. My thinking is robust. I'm willing to make shifts. The only thing I'm not willing to make shifts in is the 4 pillars of the hope idea. I mean, I'm willing to contribute more information and stuff to that, but I'm not willing to disintegrate that part as part of the design of what we want to teach, right? I mean, I think everybody can agree with that. I don't think there's nothing harmful in that message. So I don't want to lose that. But other than that, it's robust. I mean, if we need to start with it's in there, it says 200 acres, right? It says I need $1 million, right? It says a couple $1 million, right? But I was talking to Karen the other day. Karen's my wife, by the way. I was talking to her not too long ago about us just starting out with a bed and breakfast on 10 acres and doing it that way. That made her hair stand on end, because Karen's a very private person. She doesn't want people running up in her grill all the time, So she nixed that idea, because she wants to be able to have her own private place. So we're going to have some arguments about that, she and I. But because I don't mind people coming and living in my damn living room. It doesn't bother me that much. Well, I say that, but I mean, that would get old pretty quick. But So robust design, yes, robust design, yeah. So what do you guys think? Do you think that maybe the business, I mean, when you say when you said vertical, Lynn, explain that a little bit more. Did you think it sounded stovepipey to you? Is that what it sounded like to you? Stovepipe-ish?
I'm not familiar with that.
Like that there's a top-down approach? Explain what you meant by
A
vertical.
little bit. I don't know. I just kind of rereading my notes. Let me just go back. See what I wrote here.
You know what I think is most important to me is that you guys don't think it's a dumb idea. I think that's,
Gosh, no.
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 No. Good Lord. I mean, you keep going and one day Kim might show up on your doorstep. She's really enthusiastic about it.
yeah, I know. Yeah, Kim's on here. She hadn't said too much.
That's
I think
true.
I just meant like in terms of like teachers, guys, participants, just a lot of moving parts.
Oh, right. Yeah, there are a lot of moving parts.
It seemed overwhelming. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it is. It is, and it's taken me a lot of years to get it to a point where I can see it. I mean, Shan will tell you, she's known me for a long time, and it took a lot of work to get it to where. I mean, it's always been there. And yes, there are a lot of moving parts, but they've got to be there because, and like taking our kids, for instance, our kids, and this is what makes me, I was crying so hard for the last few days thinking about our kids. It's just, I hope you get to read my newsletter, but the parts have got to be there. The pieces parts have got to be there. You know, we got so many people that are just focused on homeless people. Well, okay. But what are we doing with, because right now, when you've got people jumping off of bridges and you've got people that are out here riding the streets of these cities, it ain't about Donald Trump. It is far beyond the fact that we've got this guy for president. It's way beyond that. It is just these people are scared to death that they're not going to be able to feed themselves the next day, or that they're not going to be able to teach their kids how to be, how to learn and stuff. I mean, so the pieces have got to be in there. I mean, you've got to be able to bring the family in that's getting ready to be homeless, or that is homeless, give them a temporary housing and teach them things. You've got to have that. You got to have the spiritual center. You got to have the place for kids to learn, or girls to learn a new trade. You've got to have these things in place. So yeah, it is very massive.
And I gotta say, business plans aren't easy to put together. And I was jumping on last week as really not knowing a lot. So I can appreciate, because this is so new, and it's have this all up here and to get it on paper is really a Herculean task. So I give you a lot of credit.
Thank you. One of the things that I've learned, that I've tried to really learn is, you know, when I took these things right here, this stuff right here, these books, this right here, some of you are familiar with these and some of you are not. I tried to take all of that when I wrote my book and condense it down. And maybe I'm trying to be too simplified in the business plan. I try to be as simple as I can with this stuff so it's not, so hard to get through. But anyway, all right, so I've got some actions that I've got to take. You've given me a lot of really good information. Seth or Kim, Marshall, anything you want to add to this discussion?
I'm just waiting for my time to contribute.
Oh, you coming, brother? I can see a special spot for you, man. I really can. I really do.
I'm patiently waiting for it.
I know. Keep on.
And doing everything I can to learn everything I can on the way.
I'll tell you something that you know, we got certified as coach. I got a certification in coaching from Wainwright And I'll start showing you some of those ideas and stuff when you feel like you're ready. Once you've gotten through the whole hope thing and you've got where you feel like if that strategy is built into your workbook and your hope workbook to build a coaching program or a coaching, if you want to be a coach, right? Then we've got some tools and things to help you set up your coaching. And again, these things that I'm offering up, I'm not charging for. I'm beyond that. I can't do it. The things that I've paid for over the years, I'm just going to start. I'm doing it. I'm putting it up there, and when money comes in, it'll come in. So anyway, Kim, you got anything? I see you're unmuted.
Yes, I just wanted to say great information, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
What, Kim, let me ask you something. If you were to become part of the Hope Institute in some way, what do you think you might do? What do you think you might want to be doing?
Well, I specialize in a lot of different areas. So, I mean, whether it would be helping people with addictions or helping people with alcoholism or helping homeless people or helping people just get jobs, because I even work in jail to work programs. Also people who have gotten out of prison and have to do transitional housing back into society. In prison, they have a different mental state. And then when they come out, they're slightly overwhelmed with the change. And there's been a lot of change. People coming out of prison now and walking out into COVID is quite hard for most of them. Probably, I would say 80% of them.
Do me a favor. Have you ever, and I'm getting a little personal here, but I hope that's okay. Have you ever worked in that environment before where you've done that kind of coaching, where you brought people and done career transition or anything like that?
Oh yes, I'm doing that now, and have been doing that for about 7 years.
Ah.
And I have a pastoral counseling degree, and I mean, I just apply myself where I'm wanted or needed. I just kind of, wherever God takes me.
Okay, so let me ask you something. So you're here because you want to be involved with the Hope Institute, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm not trying to lead you here. Okay, I'm not going to lead you anywhere. I want people involved with this that are going to commit to wanting to be involved with it. So would you mind sending me your resume and write up a little something about what it is that you would want to be contributing to in the Hope Institute, whether it be as a career person, coach, or whatever it is, as part of the team at the Hope Institute. And how would you develop a program around what it is you want to contribute? In other words, if you had to stand in front of people on a stage and say, the Hope Institute offers career transition from the Institute into the public. If this is what you're interested in, how would you do it?
Okay.
Think you could do that?
Sure.
Yeah, I'd like to hear that. I'd like to know more about that.
There are programs, federal programs too, that 501c3s are eligible for. The first one off the top of my head is GEO Care. And GEO Care is a program where it doesn't matter what state you're in, but if you have a facility, or even just as we do here at the houses in Princeton or the country home, GEO Care, once you're approved, will pay you per prisoner for the transitional period of 90 days. They come to you, the state pays you to do their transitional housing, and you help them do their job search. They have to set up their bank account. They have to, at the end of that 90 days, have had not only the job, but they have also got to have their first month's rent, their utility deposits, and deposit for their apartment or home or wherever they're going. But they have goals that are set in place that they have to meet within a certain time frame. And that's so that once they come through, GEO Care will pay you for the next prisoner coming out of prison to rehabilitate and get transitioned back into society. And it pays very well.
See, now, listen to this for a second. This is key, because if we have a program as part of the Hope Institute, because they don't have to stop at the 90-day, they could stay there.
Exactly. See, that's why I say, if you could check into that GEO Care, and I think I still have information on it too. I had encouraged someone else to do that, but it wasn't accepted. But I think it's one way of advancing your program, especially with the already being a 501c3. You know, that is a steady income. That is, I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, of course, you know, if you've got Chris doing the tiny houses, you know, once they get through their transitional housing and they've got jobs and stuff, they'll probably most likely want to stay. Why move? You know, they can contribute where they're at.
Right, and so do us all a good thing here for yourself, and maybe and for the Hope Institute too. Write something up, put down some notes, send it to me on the email. You've got my email, and let's put that together as part of maybe what we're going to offer as in the Hope Institute, because this is the kind of stuff when I say we're robust. There's nothing that says something's got to be done a certain way. Because prison reform is part of what we got to talk about here, right? I mean, we can't just limit this to a certain class of folks coming out. There's this guy in Arkansas or Texas that's targeting just homeless people, right? That he's setting up and stuff where they're going in Austin, Texas. But see, here's the thing. I'm not all about just one class of people. I want prisoners to come out and be at the place. I want homeless people to come out and be at the place. I want mom and daughter and son who are homeless because dad's an asshole to come there and get safety and sanctuary to be able to find where they need to be. And I want the deadbeat dad. I want deadbeat dad. I want an asshole to come there and find out about hope and turn his life around and become somebody worthwhile. I want drug addict to come and be an addict with us. And I know that sounds enormous, but understand this is post-treatment stuff I'm talking about. I'm not talking about being a place where we do morphine for people or methane or whatever you call that stuff. I'm not talking about bringing people in there for treatment of their issues. I'm talking about a post thing.
I'm clean and sober 22 plus years right now as of February 14th. Woohoo!
Great, good for you. I can't be a treatment facility. That's for other people to do. I don't think we want to be a treatment facility in any way. What we can have, I do want to have a practicing medical thing on there like they do in these other places where we have, we might have a treatment center for things like cuts and bruises and colds and things like that if we can get a doctor interested in being there periodically to come in. But I don't want to be a treatment facility like that. This is for people to come out and set up for coaching people on the transition.
There are nurse practitioners looking for places to practice. That's something you may want to check into because they have their certification. And
Leslie Ruff.
Different doctors will send out nurse practitioners to other places because they can't cover it all.
I have one. I have one right now who's waiting. Leslie Ruff.
Great.
Leslie Ruff is waiting for her invitation to come and set up roots. She's in Hawaii right now waiting to leave to come back home to set up roots at the Hope Institute. She's just waiting.
Do you guys have a time, like I may have asked this last week and I apologize. do you have like a timeline or a critical path of the rollout?
It's in the business plan, and
Oh. You're right.
it was the first institute was supposed to be manning up in 2022.
That's, wow.
But that can change. I mean, again, it's robust. It's what we have. I need a team, guys. I need a team. Help me. If you're not the ones, help me find the team. I need to find the team. God, that's what I need. I need people who are smarter than me to help me figure out what it is. If I can't do this in 2 years, I'll do it in 5. But I felt like that when I get the right team of people and they put our heads together, I felt like 2 years to get the first institute ready to start bringing people in 2 years we should be able to do it. We should be able to start onboarding in 2 years, because we should be able. What I'm looking, first, the facility is a facility that I'm not saying that is going to be completely. I'm not talking about breaking ground on a blank canvas, right? It's not a blank canvas. I'd like to find a farm, and whatever size farm we find, so that we've already got the farm kind of set up where we're going to be producing food for people is already there, because that's kind of key to this thing. Am I right?
It is.
Maybe,
but
maybe not.
I'm gonna continue to remind you that there are simpler ways to accomplish the same goals. It's like what I sent you. I don't know if you looked at it, but that whole tower garden concept.
No, I looked at it.
You don't need hundreds of acres to get started with being able to get people engaged in helping to grow their own food, and tower gardens are ridiculously simple. And oh my God, they even have liquid minerals that you pour into the water so that so you end up with actually minerals in your dang food again, which we don't have anywhere. So, just
Okay, so let's say that
simplified.
So let's say that we simplify it down to where it's. So, okay. So let's say we don't go get a farm. Let's say that we go get what? We get an abandoned building.
Anything's possible.
Here's
the other thing that's screaming in my head right now. So I know I've got to say this. I think that one of the things you might be being encouraged to do is to stop talking about the Institute like it doesn't exist, because Kim's already doing a portion of what you're doing. There's a way to be able to talk about this piece of the Institute is being done here. You can be talking about what Don and I are out here doing and saying this piece of the Institute is being done here. Even though we're not necessarily all in one location and we're not housed in some property, start thinking differently. I told you, this is about the puzzle pieces being integrated into the larger picture. And, you've got people out here who are saying, yes, I'm part of your vision, and start talking like we are.
Okay.
This piece is being done here. This piece is being done here. This piece is being done here. Now you start to become more viable.
You know what scares me about that? Okay, so don't shake your head. Give me a minute to tell you why that scares me a little bit.
I'm listening.
Well, if I'm saying to the CEO of some funding thing, right? Somebody's is listening to me. This part's being done out here. Okay, well, I want that person to come and tell me what they're doing for the Hope Institute.
That's fine. I don't care who I'm doing it for. I'll come and say I'm doing it for you, or I'll go say I'm doing it for Darlene. I don't care. It goes back to that new that new way of thinking about how individual businesses can come together under an umbrella and be part of something bigger. That's what We Care Partnerships is trying to help people do, is trying to help people move to a new way of thinking. You know, instead of Hope Institute having to be a huge corporation under itself with, you know, the job titles as we're talking about, you
Right.
can still have the titles, you can still have the labels. I'm not going to argue that there's not some necessity for that, but those titles and labels are the individual businesses that make up the Hope Institute.
Okay,
And
so, okay, all right. So I'm good. I'm good on that.
I'm
Where,
stretching people's brains, I know.
well, no, it's all, no, that's okay. That's okay. I get that. I get that. I do. I get that concept from a holistic kind of view.
Yes.
But when it comes time to grow the food and house the folks that are homeless and the people that need to come and find sanctuary, they got to be the ground. They got to be the brick and mortar thing there some kind of way.
Not going to argue that, but you're going to have an easier time getting the brick and mortar if you start talking about this differently, that these pieces already exist. We just need a place to be able to house them. And let's face it, if
Got it.
COVID,
No, I get it.
if COVID has done anything to help us at this point in
that.
time, it's the fact that you can have a virtual team.
Okay, so right. Okay, so you know, I love what you're saying right now. So I know that I have at least 2 people, maybe 3 now, 4. I got 4 people who are my virtual team, I think. And this is where I'm going to ask the question. I don't need to ask Sheehan. I know she's on my virtual team. I don't need to ask Kimberly because she's on my virtual team, because she just told me she's going to write up something on career transition to be part of my virtual team. I got Seth, who has agreed to be part of my virtual team, who is a counselor in the making for doing his thing. And I have Marshall, who is a part of my virtual team, who has agreed that she is going to continue to do buttons and try to do marketing for me and things like that. Am I right, Marshall?
Oh yes, without a doubt. And
Okay.
and the fact that I'm
Fundraising.
doing the entertainment part to raise funds. My goal is to help whoever I can with whatever money that I can raise.
Okay.
I'm
All right. So, and I'm not going to even ask Lynn.
Well, I'm trying to figure out my role here, because I am a coach and I can see myself in a coaching capacity, but also, when you say 2022 and I'm looking at the plan and I'm thinking, in my mind, I'm thinking, where's of the critical path, and what does the critical path look like, and all those subtasks that go under the tasks that are outlined in the plan. And when you're talking to the local zoning and planning boards and all that they're going to require, when they know that there's going to be a spirituality center, there's going to be someone who's teaching trades, there's going to be farming, there's going to be residential, you're getting where I'm going, right? And I'm like, 2022 is freaking aggressive, man. Like, I'm freaking out. I'm like, we got to get busy, because this is like, I don't know if it's like, there's so much work that has to be done. It's like starting it now.
Yeah, I know.
I'm sorry, I'm getting like, ah!
No, I know. So here's my question to you is this, Lynn. It sounds like you want to be a part of this.
I know. It does sound like that.
Kind of sounds that way. So just take a breath and think about it. And again, the robust
I mean,
design.
if you had the land and a little tiny residence for me, I would be up and on the land, like starting.
Yeah. Okay. So now we got 5.
So
We have 5 virtual team members right now.
Has anyone
Virtual.
done the exercise of like, have you pitch this to like, because I don't know if you've looked at land. I can't remember.
I have looked at so many places you don't know.
Right.
When I first did the business plan, there were like 20 sites listed on that business plan of possible places in Virginia to set this thing up. And I did say Virginia because I'm here and this is, it's beautiful here. I think that people would find it very, of course, I was thinking, remember that I'm thinking place to grow food on land and to set up a solar farm to
Yeah.
do energy. So you got to have enough acreage to be able to do it. I know what Sheehan's saying. She's right. We're virtual right now. We've got a team that's here, but we got to have enough land, in my opinion, to at the very minimum, we got to be self-sustaining energy wise. I don't want us to have to depend on the grid and things like that for two reasons. One, we can probably make a little bit of money selling back to the grid and power. Two, we can power our own thing with that. So yes, I have looked at properties, and there are a lot of properties available around here, anywhere from 10 to hundreds of acres. And most of them that I've looked at are operating, or I looked at one the other day that was actually an abandoned farm that still had cattle roaming around on it. That it was a maple syrup plantation. It was like, I think it was 60 acres. It was $400,000 was all they wanted for it, right? 400 grand they wanted for this place that had a maple. Of course, the maple trees were skeletons of their once magnificent selves because they drained them dry. But there was a farmhouse there. There were outbuildings. There was a tractor. There was the things there for the basic ability to set it up and say, okay, the farm is ready, pretty much. Now we just need to start putting out the necessary infrastructure to build the spiritual center, the cafeteria and all that stuff. And yes, 2 years is aggressive because we would have to, do all the permitting and zoning. I'm a project manager with FEMA right now, so I know exactly what you're talking about, Lynn. It is aggressive. It takes us a year to get anything done through the zoning and permitting people and all that stuff. But money talks. If you get the funding in, you can get the thing, make
Exactly.
things happen.
Yeah.
So Sheehan's getting ready to leave. I can tell she's getting all buggy. She's walking around pacing.
Well, no, I have another meeting coming up, and I've got to get my husband fed, so I'm just
Here's
still
the thing.
here.
Yeah,
I'm still here.
My granddaughter's here. I cooked bacon and eggs for her and ran downstairs to do this meeting.
Mhm.
But here's my thing.
And I know I'll be leaving soon.
So
But go ahead. I'm listening. I'm still
I
listening.
am again. I get fired up every time I talk to people. I get back, and so have I got commitment from 5 people here? Did I just get commitment this morning from 5 people? I'm not going to drive you. I'm not going to be all crazy about it. But have I got a commitment from 5 people today?
I think you did.
Lynn?
Yes.
At it.
I think you did.
Well, I've said from the beginning, what the role that I play.
Listen, Shin will tell you that Rick is a very, how do you say it, Shin? What would you call it? Rick is a, huh?
Not sure where you're going. Give me a clue.
A bit doubtful sometimes.
Still strengthening faith, shall we say?
Strengthening faith. There we go. But I feel like that the team is beginning to coalesce, to solidify, and I'm getting more and more excited all the time. So here's the thing. All right. So here's the deal, right? So we've got, Kim's going to write something up for career transition, and we're going to put that together. We're going to add that to the package. We'll all put our heads together. And Kim, one of the things that, and so this is from my facilitation days, team building days, we're all going to edit it. We're all going to look at it. We're all going to add to it. We're all going to make it work to fit. From all 5 of us who are going to be part of this team, let's design it. Let's start really thinking about what it is we're really wanting to do here. We got the formula. I think that we, and so I want to know, I think we're still committed to a small land area with a farmhouse probably to get food growing. I know Sheehan's talking about towers and things like that. I think that can be had. I think that can be done, but I want to focus still on trying to get self-sustaining energy and self-sustaining food, how we define that.
Here's the other thing that just comes to my mind. How do you roll this out in phases? You do not have to have the whole thing to
Right,
get
look at the business
started
plan.
with a few people.
Look at the business plan. It's in
Alright.
phases. It's over
Okay.
I think it's a 5-year period. It's a bit aggressive. I agree. From 2019 through 2020, it was all about fundraising, getting the message out, building the core team, getting books and workbooks and doing workshops and doing exactly what we're doing right now is getting the word out, building and building. 2020 through 2021 was acquiring a property and beginning to build that infrastructure in there to get that set up and do the major fundraising, to bring the funds in to get this thing done. And then in 2021 to 2022 was when we're supposed to have the infrastructure in place with our team to start onboarding at the end of 2022 into 2023, I think is what it was. I don't have it in front of me right here this morning. I think by 2024, we're operating. 2024, we've got our first residents. I mean, but they're all trickling in now. This phase thing we're talking about, when we start building, we're building with people off the street, right? I mean, we're not going to say we got to go out here and hire a bunch of contractors and stuff that say they're going to, I'm saying that like somebody that's out here that's homeless or something, whatever, needs to be able to drive nails or I mean, whatever. We'll figure that out. That's part of the whole design of bringing this thing together to put it in place, right? Like you say, Sheehan, phases, but it's in the business plan about how we do that. And so let's modify that business plan. Let's design it together a little bit more. Let's refine it. I'm all in on that. What do you think, guys?
Oh yeah. Even if you did something like this, Rick, there are a lot of little small, like little strip commercial properties, like those strip malls that are or for sale. And even if you looked into that as far as having the locations for the different either organizations or individuals that is going to provide the service at the village, that could be a start as well. I think Cheyenne was mentioning something about that earlier. That's just, an idea.
There are hundreds of dead malls in this country. I mean, that is a place that could be started. Kim drove me by a place here in Princeton last week that used to be a sanitarium. It's an empty hospital building. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, there's so many different types of places that could be done. And again, think in terms of maybe the phases are a little different than how you've currently outlined them. If you could get a building like that that can be renovated and start putting tower gardens in everybody's room, you're accomplishing the same thing in a smaller environment that now, you've got the housed program and now you're ready to move on to a bigger farm kind of thing. So I just encouraging you to maintain an open mind that, I mean, Marshall's right. A dead strip mall somewhere certainly could be a starting place.
Yeah, and I'm envisioning something like that in my mind. So let's between now and next week, let's do this. Let's think about that some more. let's think about what options there might be to get one set up quicker, and not quicker, but more in a phased approach, let's say, right? Lynn, how do you feel about that? How do you feel about what Sheehan's saying about abandoned mall or a,
Hospital or
Oh, yeah, there's so much real estate out there that's gonna be, I mean, I have to I'm processing.
yeah, so
I think it's valid for sure.
what if part of what we do is we have that as knowing that what we're getting ready to go into with the economy failing? What if we look at it from a perspective of, because I've been looking at it, failed farms and that kind of thing, right? What if we look at it from the perspective of having in there that we could promote failed properties like malls or something like that, but then that's going to require some really some serious thought, brain power
You're still
about.
a lot more, you're still gonna need all those numbers too, because are you gonna lease, are you gonna purchase that, that
Right.
you could, if, when the market fails, you might wait 90 days and get it in foreclosure out of Oreo. You know what I mean? So timing might be good because, for that, but you're still gonna have, if you're gonna buy the real estate, how are you gonna get the money to do that, and how are you gonna get approved? If it's an REO, it's gonna be easy. It's gonna be probably get some cash, get at a real substantial discount, because the banks will, you know what I mean? There's just so much to think
That's
about.
that's where your knowledge is going to be so valuable. Listen to you talking it. So, I mean, one of the things that, there a few months ago, there was and this was a massive property. It was a failed Boy Scout camp.
oh wow.
It was in Middlesex County, and it was on 300 acres, and it had everything we would have needed. I mean, we could have taken that and gone turnkey with it.
Wow.
It was $3.5 million, cheap in my estimate. $3.5 million. It had all these dormitories. It had the full commercial kitchen. It had a pool. It had everything. I mean, it was turnkey, man. $3.5 million. We could have been in and set up and pretty much ready to roll, except for the organization stuff. But it was like a turnkey thing, man. What I would have given to be able to just walk into that thing and knock it out. That would have been great. But anyway, that's
I
a
like
dream.
the idea that Michelle brings up, because it's so accessible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just, it's right. It's, like I did a feasibility for a retail. There was like a retail mall on the beach. It was so ridiculous. And people were like, well, how come it doesn't work? And it's like, because fish don't shop. You can't, right? I mean, you have to have, so you've got to consider where the people are coming from, and you can't have like just 25% of the property have access to people. I mean, the ocean was the majority of what surrounded this. So, you know what I'm saying though? It's like, it's immediately accessible to the community that needs it.
It needs, you know what? And you hit on something really great right there, right? And that's one of the things I've struggled with farms, is because it's out in the country, right? So you're going to have a bus service to go find people and bring them in, which is one of the stories I wrote a while back about how the council would go into the city of Detroit and look for people and would watch people and would go and hand out books and workbooks and go back and find them and drag them and take them to the center. So maybe that's something we need to consider more seriously about the in-town, the accessibility. And maybe we need to shift our thinking considerably on that idea. Maybe that's where we need to go with this. Like I said, look at me. I'm robust. I mean, it's.
And again, phase 1, phase 2. I mean, I think the country stuff is totally relevant, but I'm sure Marshall would tell you that in terms of being able to serve needs more quickly, the closer you are to some of the downtown areas around, the more easily you're going to be able to serve people.
You know what?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
But
So
we
let's
can
do
always
this.
search out and find those people. We can always go find them and bring them.
Yeah,
We
but
don't
now
have
you
to be
have
right in the middle of
transportation.
them to find them. Hey,
Transportation.
if I had my license, all I gotta do is take alcohol classes. It's $80 to get started and $40 a week for like 50 weeks. I have my license back. I would be willing to not only be a guidance counselor and help take care of everybody and do whatever I needed to do on the property, I would also drive one of the vans or
Right.
a bus.
Of course. But I won't forget. I mean, Marshall did an amazing job of driving us around St. Louis a few weeks ago and showing us how, here's all of these tent cities, in different places. And then just down the block are these big empty buildings. I mean, that's the most ridiculous stuff in the world.
So here's an idea. Here's something that we should consider. What would it take for us to go into an abandoned, I don't think a strip mall. Strip malls might not be it, but it may be. Being an old construction guy, I'm thinking about what it would take to renovate an abandoned strip mall or mall into a community center environment kind of thing where you could actually be self-sustaining. And I mean, who says you can't put solar panels on the rooftop of a mall or whatever? But
Absolutely. I love that. In fact, there is a Facebook group out there somewhere. It's been a long time since I've been on it, but it's a Facebook group specifically highlighting dead malls all over the country. Crazy.
what are they doing?
They're just, I don't know, somebody just thought it was interesting to collect dead malls. I mean, you can see where they all are.
Oh, you mean just collecting them, not buying them, but just
No,
collecting?
yeah, collecting the information.
Because dead malls, they're just their retail space, right? They're not really set up for people to live in them, except most of them have bathrooms.
You know what else you can do is you can go to any bank's website and look for their Oreo property. There's usually a link there, or you could call and say, give me the list. Probably don't have a lot right this hot second, but there'll be more and more and more, and you can usually go in and look at what the bank has already foreclosed on that they need to get off their books. And, whether that's farmland, whether that's, a retail, a mall, but those are going to be up and coming in the next, year.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, okay.
6 months. Hey, and
Dark.
Shannon, are there any, if you're talking about farm and transportation, how like Sean Ingram partners with like police and he partners with the courts to get the kids into his program rather than going into prison. Are there ways to partnership with some organizations that would provide that transportation for the people that they think are, potentials for the environment? Do you know what I'm saying? Is that making sense?
Yeah, no, it totally does. And, again, it's about who can you partner with? Where can you build the strategic alliances, which that has to be a huge part of any conversation at this point. So, yeah. So I guess, it's not that I'm suggesting, Rick, that you need to throw out the farm idea. I'm just saying cast the net wider and see what kind of starts to show up. Because if you've been very focused on the farm thing and you haven't, you've had all these near misses where things just didn't work out for you to be able to move forward, cast the net wider and see if you're guided in a slightly different direction.
Okay. No, I'm with you. I just don't want us to dampen our enthusiasm about what we're doing if we start focusing on some other type of property. So I don't want anybody to lose their enthusiasm.
Concept's the same.
Yeah, I won't lose mine, I can assure you. Okay, so we got a couple of things. So Kim's got something to do. I'm going to cast my net out there and start doing a little bit of research. Lynn, Lynn, are you familiar with it sounds like you're familiar with this real estate stuff a little bit more than most of us.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you're interested in maybe casting a net out there and see what might be available.
Sure. Well, how large is the net? Like, are we starting in this general geographic location or?
Yeah, start in Virginia.
Okay.
Yeah, let's still focus on Virginia. Sheehan's coming back here to Virginia in the next month or so for a while. I live in Virginia. I think that the folks that are on the call right now would be willing to come to Virginia. I mean, I can go where I need to go if I need to. I do have a mortgage and everything here right now, but let's focus on Virginia right now if we can, if it's okay with everybody. I'd like to continue to focus on Virginia.
Yep.
I don't want to go to California.
No, thank you.
Oh,
That's out of my realm of possibility. I lived there once and don't want to ever go back. I don't even think
just
they could.
started where you are. You know, you just have to look for
Oh, it's here. I know it's
a
here.
place.
I know it's here.
Get the vision started.
There's
That's
stuff,
basically
everything
what
here.
I
We
had
just
to
got to
do
get
with
the
my
funding.
online event. I had to give people a visual of what my event would look like.
Okay. Anything else today? I want to
Oh.
profound. Yes.
I was going to say, I did put something in the chat that I just putting the request out there to everybody that there's a Rick has seen it. He's already been there and Seth's already been there. But, Don and I worked really hard this week to try to come up with our specific messaging for all these different projects that we're working on right now. And, we basically are putting the core message out there that from our perspective, that we as a society have been spiritually hijacked. And we're looking for people that concept resonates with to get them into an email list with us so that we can be able to promote things like the Hope Institute and like some of the other things that we're working on. And so if you see that link in the chat or you want me to send it to you directly, I would so appreciate two things, is if you could go to that link and watch the video and give me, your impressions of the video, because it was really hard coming up with that messaging for us. And we need to know if it's resonating with people or not. And then the second thing is that, if conceptually you totally are on board with what we're working on here and want to stay in the loop of what we're doing, then please put your contact information in that website so we can utilize it to start building our email list. So that's my specific request to everybody here today.
It's a really good video and it has a really powerful message. I didn't give you my feedback though, did I? I just went in there and put my
yeah, you did.
information. I'll give you my feedback on it later.
I appreciate that.
Anybody else have any requests today? No? Okay.
Good meeting.
It was very powerful. I want to give each of you a hug and let you know that I am profoundly thankful for what we're getting ready to endeavor. There are other people who are on this team right now. They're just not here right now. There are others. Like I said, there's Leslie Ruff. There is Chris Collins. There are others. So just know there are others. So anyway, have a good day. And I am feeling very, very energized right now. I appreciate everybody.
Okay, everyone have a good
Have
day.
a great weekend.
Yep,
Bye,
you
everyone.
too. Thank you.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.